Hi, it is Ruth from the Knitting Hobbit Podcast here. Today I'm using my laptop to record, so I am hoping that the quality is okay. But it's taken me a lot of time to transfer the video from my phone, which I usually record onto my laptop, to edit and upload the video on. So I am going to try this out so I can skip that step and hopefully it will go a bit smoother and quicker. But if the quality ends up being really quite bad, then I will be switching back to my phone and just taking the extra step. So you know that. So that is also why I am behind my desk today. I'm hoping the lighting in the back it's not going to be too big of an issue. It doesn't look like it at the moment. It seems to be pretty good at focusing the light on my face. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Today I do not have much knitting to share, so I asked on Instagram yesterday if anyone had any questions for me, and a couple came in. But before I get into those, I will share a little bit of knitting and one yarn purchase that I have this week. So first off, I have a finished project, which was a super quick knit, and it was really exciting to work on. It is the School Run Mittens by Laura from Penrose Knits, who's also here on YouTube, as many of you may know. She has a really lovely podcast that I definitely recommend, and she is a starting designer, and she just put a set out with all of the little picos, I'm not sure. And as soon as I saw them, I thought they were absolutely adorable. So of course I had to make some. The one thing is though that I didn't look at the actual measurements. I have really small hands, so I just kind of guessed the smallest adult size. I haven't bought any mittens or gloves forever, and I've not really knitted any for myself either. So I didn't really think about the sizing, and they're too big for me. I need the kid size for my little hands. So these are actually too big, but I will be gifting them probably to like my fake Nan, who I also gifted the Gros shawl. And I think this color is actually quite similar to the yarn. It was a completely different yarn, but I think the color is quite similar. So they will look pretty nice together. I will show them on, but just so you know, they're big for me. So this is what they look like. As you can see, I have loads of space left, which is why they are too big. But they are very comfortable. I think they're really cute, and if you make them in some basic colors, they will go with any outfit in the winter. So I am planning on making some black ones maybe for myself, maybe even in the same color as this. These are made in the recommended yarn, which is Vulcolana Arvetta. I do have some more also in pinks and purples, so I'll probably grab one of those and make a little pair for myself. And then I also really want to make the matching hat or the headband. I have to look at which one. Maybe I'll make them both, I don't know. But I do think that these mittens are really great. It's a great pattern, it's really clear. There's not like too much information, but there's plenty. So even if you're a beginner, I think you'll be fine. Yeah, happy with those. And they knit up super quickly. I think you can easily knit a pair in a day. I started mine yesterday at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I finished the first one just after dinner, and then I immediately casted on the second one, which I finished this morning. So yeah, you could definitely do it in one day if you start one in the morning, and you can probably finish one in the morning and then finish the second one in the afternoon or something like that. Or if you can stay up a bit later than I usually do, I go to bed quite early, you'll be fine as well. So anyway, recommend them. The Arvetta is really nice and soft, and I think they'll be nice mittens that will stay nice for a while as well. This is how much I have left. I had one 50-gram ball, so this is the adult small size. So you easily get it out of one of the little, they're not really balls things, that one Arvetta skein. So that is those. Then I only have one other work in project that I've been working on for the past week, which is why I added on the Q&A to this one, and that is my wool and honey. It is on too small a cable, as you can see, so this is not the best way to show it, but I hope for next week I will have split for the sleeves, because I'm nearly done with the yoke. So here you can see the honeycombs, and then I'll see if I can stretch it out over the cable a bit. Yeah. I started with the last honeycomb here, and then after this honeycomb I think that it's time to split for the sleeves. So I'm very, very nearly there. Yeah. I haven't made any changes to the pattern, I'm just following it. But it is a lot of purling, so I wanted a break for my hands, which is why I started with these. But I will definitely be getting on with this, and definitely I hope to split for the sleeves soon, so it looks like an actual garment that you can put on. And then I think I will take it slow to not put too much strain on my hands, because for some reason both my hands start hurting when I have to purr a lot, which is a bit odd, because you only do the actual knitting with one hand, but for me the other one starts hurting as well. I knit continental, and so I knit with my left hand, but after a while my right hand will start hurting too, which is a bit weird. So I am going to see how that will go. I'm just going to take it slow and take my time. I'm really, really enjoying this project. I really love how the texture pattern is knitting up, and yeah, I'm just excited to have this jumper to actually wear. Yeah. Oh, today, by the way, I'm not wearing any hand knits. This is just a cardigan from H&M. So in case you were wondering, I don't have a pattern for it, although it does remind me kind of, I think, what's one of those really like popular brands? Wool and the Gang, is it? Or We Are Knit? I can never, I always feel like they're the same brand for some reason, but one of those does have a pattern which has like little daisies on it, and it's also like a cropped cardigan with bigger sleeves. So then I have one acquisition that I really want to share, and that is because I hope he's not watching. I think he might have tuned out by now. Sometimes I feel like he might open one of my episodes. Sometimes he does read the comments though. So, but I got yarn for my brother's birthday sweater, which is a surprise. He doesn't know it, so I'm really hoping he's not watching, because I really want to share this. But the yarn that I got is from Concepts by Katia in Lagon, which is merino extra fine. So it has 47% virgin wool, and then 40% cotton, and then 13% polyamide. So it is a bit of a mix of things, but I wanted to make him a sweater that would not be too warm and would be really nice and light. And I was looking at 100% wools first, but the sweater would turn out to be quite heavy, at least for the ones that I found. There are probably more out there that might not make it that heavy, but the one that I'm going to make is the single malt by Max the Knitter. I think it's just right up my brother's alley. He wears very, very simple jumpers most of the time. Just plain, simple, quite thin ones as well. So I thought that this one would be really nice because it's very plain and simple, but it just has that little bit of texture. So I thought that would be good. And then this yarn is like grey but has little bits of blue. Like it's a little bit tonal, and I think that will be really nice with the texture in a single mold. It also feels really, really soft because I do not know how my brother is with more rustic yarns. So I thought I'd better be on the safe side before I knit him an entire jumper and he can't wear it. I can't remember if I said so, but to get the yardage for this jumper, I only had to get 300 grams of the yarn, so it will be a really nice and lightweight, but I think still quite warm jumper. And I'm excited to knit with this. It's one of those like chain plied or braided yarns, and I've never really knit with those as far as I know. But it feels really light and really nice, and I'm excited to see how it's going to look in the texture that's in this pattern. So yeah, that will be coming up soon-ish. My brother's birthday is in February, so I'm really nice and on time. I didn't want to have to stress myself out for this one, so I started it on time. I got the yarn on time. I'm hoping to start it on time is what I meant to say, because I've not started yet. So yeah, I will get the questions. So the first one is from Olivia Knits, if I'm saying that correctly. She asked me, could you tell us about your favorite yarns and colorways to knit with? I personally find this a really, really hard question because all of the yarns and colors have such different aspects to them. Like I do really love a rustic wool, and I have, I think it's downstairs, but my Vertices Unite is knit in Hillesvåg Ask. And I do really, really love that yarn. It is quite a sturdy feeling yarn. Like the shawl feels like it's going to last forever and it's never gonna leave me. So that is good. But it's definitely a rustic yarn because it's from Hillesvåg. But then again, I feel like it's a bit softer than Tinde. Tinde is fuzzier, but it kind of feels a bit more scratchy in my opinion. Then Ask. I also think that Tinde is from the pelt wool and Ask is from normal sheep or something. I'm not sure. There is a difference in the content in those two yarns. Because Tinde is really nice and fluffy, but the Ask, like my Vertices Unite, is not as fluffy, like by far. Doesn't have a halo at all, and my Sondre jumper in Tinde does have it a little bit. So yeah, so I'd say Ask is one of my favorite yarns, but then you also have like so many different yarns that are all great. Like I love rustic yarns, but I also really love superwash yarns. And these are in a superwash sock yarn, and I'm really happy with how this knits up. Yeah, I feel like that's a really hard question to ask, but what I can say is that I mainly aim to go for 100% wool. That is my favorite, because just of the qualities that wool has, and then if it's non-superwash it has them even more, like being isolating and just all the goodness that comes with the natural products. But yeah, I feel like that answer was quite a bit of a ramble around the question. But like I said, I don't really have like one most favorite yarn or brand or colorway. Yeah, colorway wise, I do love pinks. And I am kind of getting more into the gray neutrals. So more white, gray, black, and then like pinks and purples. I love those mainly, I'd say. Oh, and yellow. I absolutely love this type of yellow, like the really warm yellow. So that too. My favorite colors, by the way, they're all in my Fantastic, which is this massive blanket. So you can see the really warm, like orangey yellows, and then there's a bit of grey and white, but also there's pinky, orangey colors. So these are my favorite colorways. All the yarn details, by the way, if you're wondering about it, are up on my Ravelry, which I'll always link down below. Then, how do you store needles and wool? All my wool is stored in this, which you can see in the corner, which I usually sit in front of. It is a Colox from IKEA. You can usually see it in the background of my other episodes. So I have my like pretty wound up skeins in a open cube, and then I have all of my like balls like this, and everything that's caked up already and stuff like that I have in the baskets. So that is how I store my wool. I did kind of try to sort it out. Like I have one basket that is full of Rauma and Istex yarn. So Rauma, mainly Rauma Vinyl and Istex Let Lopi. Then I have one box that's mainly fingering weight or sock yarn, and then one that has everything in between. That is kind of how I sorted it out, but I wouldn't say that it's like 100% correctly in those boxes, so don't quote me on it, but it should be somewhere around that. And then for my needles, they're not all sorted out at the moment, so there's a bunch missing. But I have 2 needle cases. I think they are both from Knit Pro. So this was the first one I bought. And at the moment, this just stores my spare needles and my really short circulars, like this one, which I used for the mittens. So I have like a really tiny circular here, and then small circulars, and then it stores some extra Knit Pro needles, which I used a lot before I got my Chio Goose. And I got my Chio Goose because I've broken a bunch of these. These are the wooden needles. I don't actually know what they're called. They're kind of like the symphony needles, but they're not the symphony needles. They've got a different color. But I've broken both Symphony, Knit Pro Symphony, and the other ones that I have. They're all wooden, and I don't know. I've broken multiple of them. So at one point I just decided, stop. No, we're not gonna do this. And I got a whole set of metal Chio Goose. So this one is full of spares and extras, and like one broken needle, one not broken needle, like incomplete sets of sizes. And I think there might be some spare cables in here, and cable needles, and just like all the random stuff. And then this one is the one that I mainly use. So as you can see, like I also have needles like floating around that I still need to put away, so there's a bunch missing. But for my most used sizes, I have the Chio Goose, which I am really happy with, but they are quite pricey. Like, I'm totally honest in that, they're not the cheapest needles. So for the bigger sizes, I decided to get Knit Pro Zings, because they are still metal needles. So you won't have the wood breaking off the metal, which I used to have in the past a lot. but they are also a bit cheaper than these are. And I'm really happy with this combination. Like, you can still notice a quality difference between the two brands, but these being just the bigger sizes, I think that they're absolutely fine. And then again, there's a lot of cables floating around, but usually here I have my Knit Pro cables, and then here they're all floating around, but here I usually have my Chiagu cables. And then here is a little extra pocket where I have like cable stoppers and the little they're so tiny from this brand, but if you want to like add two cables together and some extra stitch markers, and just I've got my tags in here, like just the extra stuff like that, and they're all behind a zipper. So that is how I store my needles. And they're all in a drawer that's down here, like in my desk. That question, by the way, was from Catherine All1D, Odd. I am not sure. And then another one is, can you show your yarn storage / collection? So again, my yarn storage is where I usually sit in front of, and I think there was one episode, I will have to look up which one, but I kind of talked through the different boxes that I have, and it's not really changed anything since then. So if I can find the episode, I'll put it somewhere on the screen, or I'll link it down below, and you can have a look over there. If I'm going to do that now, this episode is going to take absolutely forever. So yeah, and then the lovely Merryweather Knitting asked, I'd love to know if you have a dream pattern you would like to knit someday. And I find that such an really interesting question. Like, let me just grab my Ravelry on my laptop and have a look if I can find any, because there is definitely a couple that I've like that I've really wanted to make, but have either like really intimidated me, or you know, I just not really felt up to it. One of those is the No Frills cardigan by Petite Knit. Like, it is a very simple and plain cardigan, but I just I'm kind of like scared to put myself to knitting that much stockinette, because it is a long cardigan, and I do really want a long cardigan, but it's so much work. It really just is so much work. Oh, I know. Oh, what's it called again? I've been oh, here it is. Is that one? I can't remember. So I am still like, I know. So like a dream pattern for me to knit one day is the Morel sweater by Fiber Tales. I am kind of scared of cables. I've done them before, but for some reason they kind of scare me. And yeah, I'm not sure about it. I feel like cables take such a long time, and they look incredible, but yeah, I would really love to knit that pattern one day. I do have to yarn for it, but I just haven't like gotten myself to really go for it, if you get me. The same thing with the other sweater from her, which is the Favo sweater. Cables, they look so pretty, they look really pretty, and I need to get on my own ass and be like, just go for it. I don't have the yarn for that one, but I do have it for the Morel sweater, so I should just do it. someday I'll do it. So yeah, a nice cabley sweater. That's it. Yeah, that's like my dreamy project. Because I have the other things. Like I have some textured sweaters. I have some colorwork sweaters. But I don't have a cabled sweater. So there you go. Then Little Fern Fibers asked if you could be any type of fiber or yarn, what one would you be? And I think that is such a fun question to ask. I feel like maybe an Angora goat. Because they look really funny, and like I've never met an Angora goat, but I'm just guessing their personality is the same as normal goats, and normal goats are hilarious and they just play and jump on top of things, and I would quite like that to be my life. That wouldn't be too bad. Also, I have a lot of hair, and yeah, I feel like that kind of goes together with an Angora goat. And I like to not be too serious and just, yeah. I think Angora, so like mohair. I think that would be quite fun. So it's not really the type of fiber or yarn, but I'm just taking it back to the animal where it comes from. So I would say that, and then I would be mohair. Well, then Kel Knits asked, I'd love to know what your most worn and used knits are, which is a really fun question. Let me just grab them so I can show you. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I got them. Sorry, there's something in my eye. So I have 3 in total, I'd say, which are my most worn or used knits. Number 1 is these slippers. I shared them a little while ago. They are a free pattern from Drops. I think they're line walking, is that what they're called? I can't remember. But it's these, and they're stripes, and I have knit them in Alafel Slopey, and then I put them in a washing machine and felted them and put them over my feet. So now I have a left and a right foot felted slipper. I wear these basically every day. I think they are amazing. I really love them. If I ever walk through them, I'll immediately make a new pair of felted slippers for myself. Maybe with a different pattern, because I'll just take them off so I can properly point at it. They might be a bit dirty, so excuse that. But what you do with this is you knit it flat like that, like this, and then go around and then flat. And then you sew the top down, and then it kind of like goes over your toe, and it only ends here. So with the really thick Alafel Slopey, there is a bit of a bump over here where you sew it together. I am pretty bad at sewing, but I also think that the thick Alafel Slopey just does not help with that. And it's the same case, like you knit here together and then it stops over here, like under the ball of your heel. So you do definitely feel bumps there. I don't walk too much around the house. Do I have them on the right foot? No, I don't. That's why they were feeling weird. That's better. My big toe was getting scorched a bit. So, I would use a different pattern, but I will definitely make some more felted slippers for myself in the future. And like I just said, they're on the wrong foot. That is because when I felted them, I put them in the washing machine, and they were really tiny and balled up. So I pulled them out, and then I read that if you pull them over your feet while they are still wet, you can stretch them into the shape that you want it to be. So I pulled them over my foot and I stretched them over my foot, which automatically makes it shape to your foot if they're originally a bit too small. So that way you have a left slipper and a right slipper, which is just great. I love them. So yeah, I wear them pretty much every single day. And then another everyday thing, which I talked about previously, is my Vertices Unite, which is this huge shawl. Let me see. Yeah, there you go, kinda. So this is knit in Hillesvag Ask, like I talked about previously. And it is just my favorite shawl. It's really warm. I wear it like a scarf most of the time, so I kind of pull around like that, and then I can like pull it over my face if I'm really cold, and tie it together like this. And yeah, now that it's getting colder, I pretty much wear this to work every day, because I work in education, and because of the situation that the world is still in, even though everybody is vaccinated. We have to keep the windows open. So when it's cold, to be able to have something like this, to either wear like this right now, or to wear like a scarf, is just great. And because it's made of that wool, it is really warm and really nice and really cozy. So yeah. Then the last thing, that is one of my favorite knits. It was also one of my favorite knits to make. I have made 2 of them. One was a present for my aunt, and then I made one for myself. But it is the Trolltint cardigan from Skeendeer. And it's just this very simple and plain cardigan. You knit it bottom up, and then it kind of looks like a satin sleeve, but there's pretty much no sewing. There's a little bit of sewing on the top, and then I think on the top, yeah, and then you have to sew the armhole shut, so there's like next to no sewing. And it's a steeked cardigan, so no purling, and then there's just this little bit of textury thing next to the button band. And I knit mine in a combination of a whole bunch of things. So there is a strand of Westwool mohair in here, which makes it really nice and fluffy. And then there is a strand of Ulcentrum Toetrout. Is that what it's called? It's from Trollewool. And then there's a strand of Rowan cotton something, but it's from Trollewool. They have a kit that you can use for a completely different jumper, so I bought that kit, and then I added the Westwool glow hair to it, and that's what I used for this. Any more details, if you want them, are as usual up on my Ravelry. So yeah, let me see if I got all of the questions while I take a sip of my tea. One more thing I want to share, my tea. So the tea I got, I'm not sure if you can get this in any other country. I'll grab the box. So it is Sint is jarig, limited edition tea, and Sint is Dutch Santa Claus. His birthday is on the 5th of December, and I love everything that has to do with that holiday. I really enjoy it a lot, and the food around the holiday is absolutely delicious. So this is tea with the spices from pepernoten, and if you are either a Dutch person, or if you are not a Dutch person but you've had pepernoten before, you know that they are delicious and the spices in them are really good. So I'm really happy with this. They sold this at the gluten-free web shop where I usually get a lot of my gluten-free groceries, because the normal grocery stores in the Netherlands are quite shite at stocking gluten-free. So anyway, that's all I've been drinking for the last couple of days. I'm really obsessed with this tea. So I keep this one full. Anyway, then Nuts Your Knits asked 2 different questions about spinning. One I think might need more of a tutorial, but I can quickly talk about it. She asked, can you talk about how you apply 2 yarns with the Ashford e-spinner? And what I just do with the e-spinner, you get a lazy Kate, which is a thing that you can put 2 bobbins on, and then so I put 2 bobbins on there, and then I just pull the yarn from there and apply on my e-spinner. I don't know, like if I feel like if I'd explain more, I would need to make a whole tutorial and show you. So if you need more information, I would just look on YouTube about how to apply yarn. It's really no different on an e-spinner from a normal spinning wheel or anything, which I know because I have a normal spinning wheel as well. So yeah, it's a bit different from a drop spindle or any other like hand spindle thingy. But as long as you have a tutorial for any kind of wheel, you'll be fine. So yeah, that's that. And then she also asked tips on how to use your spun yarn. I'm curious and thinking of buying a yarn spinner, which is really exciting. If you are new to spinning, by the way, I would recommend looking into second-hand spinning wheels. I have a really old spinning wheel that I bought for about 30 euros. It is still functioning. I feel like it's going to fall apart any minute when I use it, but it still functions. So I would just look for that, and before you pay, like go and pick it up, and then before you pay, like ask if they can show you that it still works, so you're like completely sure that you're buying a working spinning wheel. But I would recommend that to start out with. I personally was not friends with my drop spindle, so I don't really recommend that, but I know that there's lots of people that do love their drop spindle, so you can also look into that. They are quite affordable to get as well. At some places, like you also have really expensive ones, but you also have affordable ones. But anyway, how I use my spun yarn. Have I used my own spun yarn for anything? I don't think I do. But no, I can't think. Oh, I have some hand spun in my Fantastic. So what you can do is if you can count the reps per inch, especially when you've like gotten a bunch of practice in and your yarn is getting more consistent, you can again look up on YouTube on how to do that, because I'm not an expert. I'm really bad at it actually. But count your reps per inch, and that way you can figure out if it's like a fingering, a sport, a decay, a worsted, whatever it is. And then just look up a pattern and knit that. Like figure out how many meters you have. There's also explanations for that on the internet, and then go for it. It's all I can really tell you. You can knit anything with it. Anything that you can knit with store-bought yarn, you can knit with your hand spun. So this section is my hand spun, and as you can see, it doesn't look like crazy different from the commercial yarn. Like there's hand dyed merino and mohair around it, and you can kind of see do that with it. Anything. I have a whole bunch of black and purple yarn, some sparkles in it, that I've got a jumper planned with like, let me see, it's called the Love Witch sweater, and it's got like this kind of like sleeve that goes like this, so it gets wider. It's called the Love Witch sweater, and this yarn kind of reminds me of witches because it's black and purple and it has like a greeny glittery in it. So that's what I have planned for that. I still have to get around to making it, but yeah, just anything your heart desires. So those were all the questions, except if I accidentally skipped one. In that case, I am very, very sorry, but I think I have them all now. I want to thank everyone that sent in questions. It was a lot of fun to answer them and to think about the answers. And I will get on knitting, so I might have some more to share next week. And otherwise, I will probably skip a week next week. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.